Is history driven by the preordained destiny of exceptional individuals, or by ordinary people stepping into extraordinary circumstances during a crisis? Let's unpack how historians debate this question. In the 19th century, philosopher Thomas Carlyle argued that history is entirely the biography of great men. He viewed these leaders as naturally superior, almost semi-divine figures whose sheer willpower dictated the fate of nations. A century later, American philosopher Sidney Hook dismantled this approach. Hook argued that Carlyle's view is illogical and relies on mysticism rather than facts, making it useless for serious historical analysis. To write high-level academic analysis and secure top marks on your exams, you need to set aside the myth of the great man and apply Hook's rigorous analytical framework to evaluate historical leadership. This excerpt is from page 154 of Hook's 1945 book, The Hero in History. Here, he introduces a precise way to measure historical impact by splitting leaders into two distinct categories. First, we have the eventful man. Hook uses the analogy of the little Dutch boy who kept his finger in the dike and saved the town. This person becomes a hero by happenstance. Anyone in that exact position could have performed the same action. Their impact relies entirely on being in the right place at the right time. Second, Hook defines the event-making man. This is an individual who deliberately finds a crossroads in history and chooses a path based on outstanding capacities of intelligence, will, and character. They do not rely on accidents of position. Looking at page 157, Hook illustrates this with classical examples like Caesar, Cromwell, and Napoleon. These figures clear the path of opposition through sheer leadership capacity, increasing the odds of success for the alternative they choose to pursue. The true test of an event-making man is if their unique personal qualities altered the trajectory of history in a way no random person could. Let's apply Hook's theory to a specific historical case study. Look at this photograph of the 1946 mass protests against the Malayan Union. The political environment in Malaya is extremely volatile. Get ready to evaluate the local leadership in this context. Pause the video here. If Dato' An Jafar had simply let these massive protests happen without taking the extra step to organize UMNO, would Hook classify him as merely eventful or truly event-making? If he had only ridden the wave of protests, he would be merely eventful. This historical text confirms his event-making status. It details how he proved his strategic capacity by orchestrating a total boycott of Sir Edward Gent's inauguration on April 1, 1946, instructing protesters to wear white bands of mourning on their songcoks. He displayed extraordinary leadership capacity by successfully pressuring the Raja Raja Malayu to join the boycott. This proves his ability to align traditional, established power structures with his own strategic vision against British policies. We can corroborate this with primary source evidence from the British Colonial Office. This document from 1948 shows that even his enemies recognized his calculated pragmatism. The British administration described him as a statesman who could negotiate within the colonial framework, rather than a pure radical seeking direct confrontation. Dato' An fits the textbook definition of an event-making man because he engineered the political machinery of UMNO. He leveraged his personal intelligence and character to force the British to alter their colonial trajectory. However, singular leadership has limits. This slide summarizes Ranajit Guha's theory of collective consciousness. It shows that grassroots political awareness and non-elite action are necessary drivers of history. An event-making man still requires a politically aware, mobilized population to actually execute his strategies. Carlyle's great man theory is too mystical to be useful. Hook gives us the tools to identify the strategic brilliance of a specific leader, while Guha reminds us that this leader can only operate successfully using the real power of the mobilized masses. When constructing your exam essay, use this matrix. Start with the concept of Hook's theory. Categorize your subject, Dato' An, as an event-making man. Back this up with concrete evidence, like the formation of UMNO and the April 1 boycott. Finally, contrast this against the counter-theory of Carlyle's elitism to show a deep understanding of historiography. History is a study of how and why exceptional individuals shape reality. Applying theoretical frameworks like Sidney Hook's to concrete events allows you to master the subject.